Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we are exploring the sort of space left when Expressive Iteration got banned from the format and how that impacts Delver. So this is what we are playing today. It's a Delverless Delver deck, if that's a thing to you. So our main threats here are Dragon's Rage Channeler and these two token producing creatures in Young Pyromancer and Third Path Iconoclast. So both of these are humans that produce a non-human creature. Soldiers and red elementals. So the game plan here is to play one of these things and then play a load of free spells. So things like Force of Will, Daze, we even have Gutshot in the deck, and Baubles. These are Urza's Baubles as well because we've got Cabal Therapy on our sideboard, but we'll get to that in a sec. So the idea is to make a load of tokens and we're just trying to go wide really and then tempering out our opponent by blowing up some of their stuff or countering lynch pieces. Now, to replace our Expressive Iteration, we are playing Of One Mind. So this is a 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Not that great, but when you have a human and a non-human, it costs 2 less. This means that if we play any spell with a Young Pyromancer or a Third Path Iconoclast out, we can then just pay 1 to draw 2 cards, which is a pretty darn good rate. So that's what we're trying to do here. Because we're heavy into the red-blue colour here, we've got 5 red-blue lands. We've got 4 Volcanic Islands and 1 Steam Vents to round it out, which generally is a thing that's most of the time going to be okay, and you're only going to fetch this when you want it tapped, but sometimes we're going to have to take damage from it. So this means we can only afford 3 Wastelands because we're also playing 1 Underground Sea. And we've got no basics because we've got all these red spells and all these blue spells. So the Underground Sea is for sideboard cards that we'll get to soon. We have 1 Brazen Borrower as well as the usual cantrip suite. And that's pretty much it really. We're just trying to get a load of value off of our Of One Minds and go wide, bouncing some stuff around with the Borrower, countering bits and pieces, taking out little creatures with our gut shots and lightning bolts. And that's more or less what we're trying to do. This reminds me a lot of a deck like the Young Pyromancer decks that used to exist in Legacy before they banned Gataxian Probe. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. Our Urza's Bauble is our Gataxian Probe. So in the sideboard, we have some stuff that were in the main deck of those Young Pyromancer decks in the form of Cabal Therapy. This card obviously very good with Third Path Iconoclast or Young Pyromancer because you cast this, you immediately get a guy that you can then use for the flashback with it. And if we're pairing it with Urza's Bauble, then we're at least going to know one of the things in our opponent's hands. We might be able to hit first and then hit something with the second. We're also running Surgical Extraction because it's a free spell that interacts with the graveyard. We've also got 2 Pyrokinesis here because it's a free spell, which is going to be good with our guys. We've got 1 more Brazen Borrower in case we've got some stuff we need to knock out of play. And we've got 2 Meltdown alongside the usual 4 Pyroblast that you're seeing in these sorts of decks these days. This deck does not have a Murktide region. We're not going big, we're going wide, which is good for some reason, but obviously bad for others. We're a little bit susceptible to things that are going to be able to take out lots of little creatures. And we don't really have a way of just going big and over the top. We can do a little bit of Brazen Borrowing and Dragon's Rage Channeler, but we're not going to have any large creatures. So this is the deck we're playing today, and I think we should just jump into it. Obviously, I should do a little plug. Like, comment, subscribe, become a member of the channel, all that sort of stuff. Feel free to do that, but let's just play some Legacy with this and see how it pans out. We're on the play for our first game. We have a pretty good curve here. We can go Dragon's Rage Channeler into Young Pyromancer, Gutshot, and then we can have an Of One Mind, so it seems pretty good. So we'll keep this one. We don't have any basics or anything to play around here. So let's just crack this. All of our fetches get all of our lands. Apart from, yeah, actually no, even the Mystic Sanctuary, yeah. So all of our fetches get all of our lands here. So we're just going to go and get ourselves a Volcanic Island. And put this guy into play. And pass the turn. Our opponent is a fan of the channel, which is always nice to see. So we can Gutshot something if we need to on turn 1, but it's very unlikely. We might as well just play our Pyromancer and then get the value off of it. But we'll see what our opponent does. Okay, our Gutshot's not going to have much in the way of targets here. We don't have anything like Price of Progress in our sideboard either. So this lands matchup could be a little bit tricky. This could be like Naya Depths. Okay, so we're going to lose a land here. What have we got? Life from Low and bringing back Wasteland. Okay, so we're going to get Wastelanded a lot this game. I feel we're sort of under the gun a bit already. We are the person with the threat in play. So this coupled with our Dragon's Rage Channeler can't get us to go Delirious here. So it's not worth firing this off. Although we are going to fire it off to get a land next turn. But because this can't get Delirium right now, because we just can have instant and land in there, and we get one other type, I think we are just attacking, and then we'll fire this off on our opponent's turn. Possibly paying the mana for it rather than the life, because we would like to try and surveil into a land so we can cast something like a Third Path Iconoclast or a Young Pyromancer, somewhere along that lines. Now, there is a slight issue here in that when we play one of our guys, that's going to be it. So we could try and hold the gut shot so that we're more likely to have our guy do something instead of just be a 2-1. But our deck is jam-packed with 1-drop. So I think the correct play here is the gut shot. I think we do pay the life here because this matchup's probably not going to come to life. It's going to be whether or not we can kill them before they control us out of the game. Okay, they're just putting the life from the gnome into their graveyard. Interesting. We'll pay 2 life for this and get a surveil trigger in our upkeep. Force of Will. We can put this into our graveyard. We're looking for a land. We did not find a land. Okay. I don't think our little 1-1 is going to get there. So what our opponent can do is they can Wasteland our fetch land and then Life from the Loam back the Wasteland to then get the thing we fetch, which is obviously pretty bad for us. But they might not be inclined to do that. They might just want to get the Misty Rainforest. Okay, so the Ancient Tomb is their land drop for turn. A Minsk and Boo. Sure, this is going to race us pretty effectively here. So I think we're getting close to scooping up here. So we take 4 from this turn. If we don't find a land, I think we can just scoop it up because we're not going to be beating this. If we'd have kept the Force of Will on top, we could have Force of Willed this. But our opponent would probably not bother doing that and just try and Wasteland us as much as they could that way. Alright, they didn't attack. They're trying to protect their Boo here. Okay, so we've drawn a gut shot. This gives us the potential to attack their Minsk and Boo for 3. Or 4 actually, if we target the Minsk and Boo here. So I think this is our best bet. Let's try and put a creature or something in the graveyard or an artifact. This is an instant. That's not very helpful. So we can't attack into the 4-4. It's going to be a 7-7. Yeah, I think we're done here. I don't see how we come back from this now. Let's not waste our time or our opponents. Okay, sideboard-wise, these gut shots are abysmal in this matchup, so they can get right out. Surgical Extractions, on the other hand, pretty good. Also, Brazen Borrower is something I'm certainly interested in here. Our opponent's going to have Marit Lage somewhere in their deck, so being able to bounce that feels like a nice thing to do. Lightning Bolts are good versus Minsk and Boo, to an extent. How good do we think Daze is going to be? I don't think Daze is where we want to be in this matchup. It's okay sometimes, but a lot of the time it's just not going to actually do anything. So I think we'll just swap the Daze out for Brazen Borrower. There are always blue cards and things to get rid of Brainstorm with anyway. Let's see how quickly we can lose this one. Right, our hand doesn't actually do anything here. I think we need to mulligan to some sort of game plan. This has game plans, and we also get to dodge the Wasteland here. So we can keep this, we can get rid of the steam vents, say done. So we can play this out and not ponder on turn 1, which might sound like a weird thing to do, but it means we're guaranteed to get to play one of our guys next turn. And then we might be able to Daze and sort of get in amongst it with some guys. We can Daze this Mox Diamond. Is that worth doing? I don't think we're supposed to Daze the Mox Diamond. It's one of those things where if it's their only green source, then yeah, it can just absolutely ruin us by not dazing that. Okay, so they have an expiration. I don't really want to go and fetch a land here because we're so vulnerable to Wasteland. This matchup is probably going to be pretty bad for us. They've got Tabernacle for when we go wide, which is like our main thing. They have Maze of Ith to stop any of our guys, and they can Wasteland us into the dirt very easily. So it's going to be a tough one. I think we'll play out the Third Path here. This is the hardest one to cast for us. Although all of our lands... Well, that's not true. Our Underground Sea doesn't cast the red pip on it. Blue and red. So we've got a Daze that we can use to make a guy, possibly counter something. It's unlikely we're going to be able to counter anything given our opponent's situation right now. I think getting this into play early is better than trying to slow the game down by taking out their Mox Diamond there. I think they were trying to use that as bait. Goodbye, Volcanic Island. If they've got a second Wasteland here, we're in trouble. A red Elemental Blast. I think we do this just so we can get a guy on board. They have to pay with their Ancient Tunes, so it's also worth some good damage to us. It's like a Lightning Bolt and a counter spell. Sure. Looks like if we'd have countered the Mox Diamond, we might have been alright there. But they didn't even try and play it around a Daze, which made me think they didn't really care. So maybe they kind of baited us there. Hard to say. Alright, let's just get another threat down. And start attacking. Our opponent is heavily favoured right now, I'd say. But I guess it depends what the cards in their hand are. Jury Step. Maybe they've just got nothing here. Maybe we can just do our thing. Let's go and get the Volcanic Island. We'll cast this now just in case there's some sort of weird crop rotation for a Wasteland or something at a really inopportune time for us. So next, sorry, it's not my mic there. Next turn we're going to be pondering, getting a lot of value from it, getting blown apart by a Tabernacle. An Exploration. We don't care about this Exploration. Alright, maybe our opponent's just on nothing here. Would we rather of one mind or ponder? I think we have one mind first, right? Put into Graveyard, I think. Just looking for more cantrips, really. Surgical Extraction is a pretty nice one. Having this Force of Will means I don't really want to use our ponder right now. I think we just go to attacks here. Send in the Clowns. Nice hit for 6. If our opponent gives us a good Surgical Extraction target, we'll take that. Alright, they're packing it in. So the hand was actually pretty weak there. I think we got a bit lucky. Let's carry on. So I don't think I want to change any way that I've sideboarded here. Maybe Meltdowns are going to be better than Dazes here, especially since there's Urza Sagas probably in their deck. We haven't seen them, but I have to imagine that they are there. So if we've got these Meltdowns, we can take out their Moxes and all that sort of stuff. I think that's going to be better than having a Daze. We still have the Daze to pitch to stuff. We still have Lightning Bolts to hit a Minsk and Boo if need be. We've got Surgicals to hit their Wastelands or Life from the Lane, depending on the situation at the time. This seems fine. Wouldn't mind a Force of Negation because it exiles the Life from the Lane, but can't have everything. Okay, so we've got 2 lands, and we can immediately get a trigger off of our Dragon's Rage Channeler. This seems playable. Let's see how bad it is on turn 1 for us. Alright, so Meltdown's going to be okay if we can find it. Sphere of Resistance. That's not a very nice one, is it? That's going to be pretty good against our Dragon's Rage Channeler. We do have these Meltdowns now, though. We'll play this one out so we can't be Wastelanded. Yeah, making all our spells cost more is a little bit annoying, truth be told. Play this out, crack this, and get another one of these. Cast our expensive guy. 2 mana. And we don't get to play baubles or stuff because everything costs 1 more. So, it's going to be a little bit tough to spam a load of things here. But we'll see. If our Dragon's Rage Channeler lives for another turn, then I think we might be okay. Potentially, at least. This Ancient Tomb is going to help us out a little bit. Life from the Loam on Maze of Ith. We don't have the mana to surgically extract anything. Alright. I think we're supposed to Brainstorm here first. Let's put some stuff in the graveyard, hopefully. A Lightning Bolt. This can go into the graveyard. We don't want this. Draw some cards. Force of Will is going to be hard for us to leverage into anyway. We probably don't need the second Surge Extraction. We can put this on top of our library. Probably get rid of this Underground Sea. So now we are playing this fetch land. Go and get ourselves another Volcanic Island, I suppose. We have to pay life for this. We should do this in our opponent's. So what we've got? We've got 3. No, we've got instant and land, and this will be an instant. So we don't actually get anything from doing this. We could Bauble and try and make this a 3-power guy, but I think we're best off trying to hit this in their upkeep. Does it matter if we do it in their upkeep? No, it doesn't actually, does it? So I think we're just going to attack here. Mazavith, sure. Just trying to work out. I think we are supposed to just get rid of this life from below me. This is going to be their engine with the exploration, and we kind of need to hit this one. So let's just do that now. Let's get on the scry off. We're looking for one of the guys that helps us go wide. That's not it. So this can go into the graveyard. Force of Will, not great in this situation. We'll take this life from Loam, this life from Loam. What have we got here? 2 Minsk and Boo, a couple of Endurance, and obviously the big Marit Lage. That's what we're most worried about here. As the Sagas are obviously something we have to deal with later on. Sphere of Resistance and Lightning Bolt is pretty annoying as things our opponent has. They don't have red mana as of yet though, so the Lightning Bolt is off for now. Not that our threat's going to get anywhere because of this Mazavith. We do have Wastelands of our own though, so we can draw a Wasteland, hit the maze, and if our opponent plays another Sphere, we can hit their other stuff so they just don't get to cast any spells. So Wasteland would be a good draw. We can do Wasteland, Bauble, and then have Force of Will up. There's the Sphere of Resistance. Sure. And a Blast Zone. Understood, opponent. They blow this up, it hits their own exploration, but I don't think they care about that. They can't blow it up this turn anyway, because they've only got 1 mana available from the Mox Diamond. Oh, they have got red mana because they've got Mox Diamond, but they can't cast Lightning Bolt. If they wanted to cast Lightning Bolt, they should have done that first, but I guess they just don't care. Alright, deck, what are we doing? A Lightning Bolt. Not interested in that one. So, do we want a 3 mana Brainstorm? That doesn't seem amazing. But I think that's where we're at. Let's see what we scry away. Looking for Wasteland. Third Path Iconoclast is pretty good here. So we will put on top of our library this one. This lets us go wide, which is how we're going to try and win this game. Okay, so this Force of Will is going to cost us 2 mana. So it's not really going to do anything right now. Do you want this additional land next turn? Does that make a difference? So this is going to cost us 4 mana. And we won't be able to cast another spell. So the land isn't going to do anything right now. Neither is this Lightning Bolt. We don't have a shuffle anyway. Sure. So I guess we play this one out. And we'll just pass. There's no point attacking because they have a Blast Zone. Don't need to waste their time or ours. They're probably saving the Lightning Bolt for our Third Path Iconoclast. And because we left a card on top with our Dragon's Rage Channeler, they're more likely to not fire this bolt off on our DRC. Which means we're going to have to find a Meltdown. So maybe we're pondering instead. Whilst we know they have this Lightning Bolt in hand. Alright, let's do an expensive ponder. Again, we can't play this thing out while they can Lightning Bolt it. Put into graveyard, please. Daze of One Mind, Urza's Bauble. I think we just go any order and shuffle. We're just looking for the Meltdown here. This costs 2, so we can't play this. Our guy isn't going to be any attacking anytime soon, so we're just going to have to pass a turn. It's going to be a weird one. They might fire off this bolt end of turn, or use the Blast Zone. I imagine they're likely to want to keep their Blast Zone because it's... Okay, they might put an additional count on the Blast Zone. Okay, so they're just getting rid of the Lightning Bolt. So now our Third Path Iconoclast can actually do something, but they can just put some counters on the Blast Zone. So we might not get many turns of it doing things. What have they found? They can cast a Minsk and Boo, which would be really bad for us. Yikes, that's what it is. No, an Endurance. Okay, this is a creature that is surprisingly difficult for us to deal with. We'll lose our graveyard here. Young Pyromancer. I think we play out the one that can be Pyroblasted here. So we can certainly fog the Endurance when we start playing spells. We're just looking for a Meltdown here though. So probably Brainstorm into nothing, I guess. We could play the Young Pyromancer first and take another hit so that we're getting way more out of our spells. But it depends what our opponent does. If they're putting a count on the Blast Zone, we definitely don't want to do that. Another Endurance, sure. Okay, so I think we can probably play the Pyromancer, take the hit for 6, and then we're just going to be casting spells to fog these until we can start going wider. Meltdown, on the other hand, though, is a pretty good draw here. So in order to kill these, we need to have X equals 2, so that's 3 mana. Plus 2 for the spheres. So we need 5 mana. So we don't actually have enough mana. So I think we are just on the Pyromancer plan here. And what we're going to do is play our cantrips to try and find the 5th land for the Meltdown. And then we can cast that, and then we can sort of make a load of guys, turn on our Force of Will so we can blank the Minsk and Boo. If we can draw a land off the top next turn, then I think we can win this game. They might be putting a counter on the Blast Zone here, though. Expedition map. Sure. This is an expensive expedition map, but they can go and get something like Tabernacle here. Should be pretty good. As the Saga's not going to be the worst. The Tabernacle. There it is. Alright, opponent. I understand what we're doing here. Right, so we take the 6. Our opponent is also tapping down from the Tabernacle. They didn't untap their guy either, so that's something. So we're going to pay for both of our guys. We can play the Bauble this turn. Third Path Iconoclast that we can't cast. So if we play this one out, it costs 2 mana. It does get us 2 guys though. Oh no, it doesn't make a guy off this guy, does it? That has to be instant or sorcery. That's a little bit awkward. Right, we can go to attacks here. Attack with all creatures. We do have a lightning bolt. Seems unlikely that we're going to be able to do much with it, but here we are. Sure, so we get 2. So the reason they've sent this one back is because this is the one that we would rather keep alive. So if we have to chump block, we'd rather it be the Young Pyromancer. Okay. They've got Yavimaya, so they can use the Tabernacle for mana here. Let's see if they play what they draw or keep it in hand. It's just like a Minsk and Boo. It's a Minsk and Boo. Okay, how bad is this for us? Pretty bad. Yeah. Just kind of wish we had that land that we got rid of earlier, maybe. So this is going to put some counters on the Boo. So how much damage is this going to be if they attack with everything? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we do have to block 2 creatures here. So if we go to blocks, if we block the endurance here, we're still taking 7. So this guy has to chump block as well. It's looking pretty awkward for us. Let's have a look at the no cards in our opponent's hand. But we do get to draw a card next turn, which is what we're doing that for. This matchup feels like it's very good for the lands player. And so we would like to draw the card before we keep this guy alive so we can see what we're getting. We've drawn a Wasteland. How does that impact this game? So we can Meltdown. That costs all of our mana. And then what? I think we have to keep our guy alive. I think we're dead here. I haven't done the maths though, so we're just going to play it quickly. Okay, so we have this Wasteland here. So we can cast this Lightning Bolt here. And kill this, then we die to the other stuff they have. They're on 10. So we can take them down for 2. To get 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I don't think we can realistically win this game. I think we're done. Yeah. This Minsk and Boo draw was a bit awkward for us. We were just kind of like trying to draw lands. If we'd have hit lands slightly earlier, then I think we were okay there. So a tough call, but we were looking for the Meltdown and then we had to sort of play from double sphere. It was a lot closer than I think it maybe could have been. I think this matchup generally is a bit one-sided for the lands player. All right, let's go to round 2. On the play for round 2. Bit of a weird one. I think we do keep. We lead out on the Strand and then we play Wasteland. Actually, no, we play the Channeler here, don't we, actually? Yeah, we play the Channeler. For some reason, my eyes thought this was another Pyromancer. All right, that hand's pretty good. We've got the classic turn 1 play with Daze back up on the play, so not a bad way to start a game of Magic the Gathering. Then we have a choice of Brainstorm or Young Pyromancer on turn 2 or Wasteland. Let's play this, crack it, go and get ourselves a Volcanic Island. Play a little Dragon's Rage Channeler. Pass turn, holding up Daze. An Urza Saga. It's a pretty good Wasteland target. A Mox Opal. It's going to shut off our Daze a little bit, potentially, but we can sort of hit the thing that comes out of it. So I think our opponent has told us that we're supposed to be wastelanding them, but I think we are going to cast a Brainstorm first and get a bit more information about. This can go into the graveyard. It's a creature. We've already got a creature in hand as well. We just need to put a sorcery into our graveyard, but we're not really going to be doing that right now. We definitely want this land for next turn. Want to keep the Daze. Probably the Young Pyromancer goes back, and then we'll put the Lightning Bolt. I think we're just wastelanding here, right? This is just too easy of a wasteland shout. Definitely one of the best lands in the format. Happy to wasteland it. Makes our Days extra good again. We are one permanent type off of getting our Dragon's Rage Channel to flip. I say flip to go delirious. I call it flip because I've been playing with Delver for so long. Alright, so our opponent could be somewhere along the 8 cast or Hammer Spectrum. Could be Saga Storm. It's hard to say what they're up to. All these cards exist in the same shells. Painter's Servant. Okay. We don't know what colour Painter's Servant deck our opponent is. We know we have a Lightning Bolt on top of our library, so I'm just going to leave this. Let's see what they name here. They've chosen black. Interesting. Okay, so here's the Lightning Bolt, which we kept on top for good reasons. Let's crack this for the Volcanic. We will Lightning Bolt our opponent. Our opponent's Painter's Servant. Let's get a Scry. A Third Path Iconoclast. I think we need another one of those. So we did have an option of brainstorming first to put the of one mine on top and mill that, but I'm kind of looking to actually cast that. I'd rather save this Brainstorm for Third Path Iconoclast. See the Synod. Okay, so we're looking at the blue painter type decks here. So this time they have a Seat of the Synod. So we are going to cast a Brainstorm in response here. A Ponder. This can go into the graveyard. This gives our guy into a 3/3. We have double Daze if we want it. Do we want it? I think we probably do. Which means we're probably putting Ponder and Wasteland on top. We will leave this on top of our library. Oh, we should have let our opponent pay for the Daze first, actually. That's not my mistake. Now our opponent has 1 mana to play with this turn. That's a mistake. I didn't see they had 1 floating up here. Their Mox Opal isn't live right now. Sure. Hopefully they didn't play anything with this 1 mana. Otherwise, we're going to be slightly punished for our misplay. Although it's good to be punished for misplays, because that's, you know, a good way to learn. Yep, so we're punished pretty hard for that one. We have a Wasteland that's not looking great right now. I think we do just have to cast it. So this, you may cast it. So they can cast things, but they can't play lands. Interesting. We play this, and we'll hit our opponent's blue source, which is also an artifact. Yeah, I think we might lose this game because of that Daze misplay where I should have waited for them to pay before doing it. Well, so we've got Ponder on top of our library, which we can use to try and find a bit more business. Pretty sure it's the Ponder on top there. Sure, Spire of Industry. It's not an artifact. They can replay this Painter's Servant here. Okay, they're playing the Grindstone. Okay. Ponder. So we're going to cast our Ponder. A Lightning Bolt. We will put this on top of our library. Other one mine can go on the bottom. And a Channeler. And then the Bolt. We draw the bolts. This can kill the thing, but we do need to survive the next turn. If our opponent's got a mana source, they can get us here. They could also just Grindstone on top of our library and take away the stuff that's on top of it, which is why I put the Lightning Bolt in hand rather than floating it on top. Okay, they're playing a Painter's Servant here. They've misplayed here. They don't get to tap their Mox Opal for the mana they need. They need to tap that before they play it because of state-based effects. So maybe that was the 1 mana they needed. Nope, they had it anyway. But they could have had 1 mana to protect it with something. I guess it's very unlikely they have something like a Pyroblast. Sure. I'm going to target us now. Oh wait, they couldn't float off the mocks because they only had... Because they already had the artifacts, didn't they? They needed more artifacts. Okay, they're going to do in our upkeep. Doing our draw step. Interesting. They've given us a way to win this game, which is certainly a curious approach. So we can attack here. They tap the Ancient Tomb, then we have them dead. Otherwise we have to bolt the Painted Servant. I think we'll play out our Dragon's Rage Channeler here. And pass a 10. So if our opponent grinds, we kill their guy, but then we just do the same dance next turn. So grind at end step, we just kill them in response. So they should have ground in our upkeep. Alright. They tap the Ancient Tomb, we win the game. If they don't tap the Ancient Tomb, we might still win the game. I think our opponents let us in a little bit here. Now if they have a counter spell, this is all moot anyway, but let's see what they tap here. They shouldn't be tapping the Ancient Tomb for this. Alright, we are on the... Can we Lightning Bolt this Painted Servant out of the way? We have lethal flying damage now. This can go into the graveyard. This one can go into the graveyard. Okay, so we get milled for a little bit. And I think our opponent punted that one in our favour a little bit there. So I got another Mox Opal here. They can replay the Painted Servant here, but I don't think that does anything. They don't have something like a Thought Monitor they can play and let it jump in the way. Not sure what their plan is here. We've got a lot of damage coming back. Not sure this gut shot's going to matter. So these guys have to attack. We've got the 6 damage coming through. I think what our opponent was doing was they didn't want to activate their Ancient Tomb in case we had double bolt in the upkeep. But I think we've already used 1 bolt. And if we had a bolt, surely we point it at the Emery. So I think they should have just got us that way. Alright, so we've definitely got stuff for this matchup. I like the Meltdowns. They seem pretty useful here. Circle Extraction is an interesting one because they're milling themselves with Emery and stuff, and we can certainly take out pieces. So I'm inclined to want this. Pyroblast feel pretty useful against all their blue stuff. I don't really like the Force of Will doing little 2-for-1s for ourselves there. I think we're better off with Pyroblast, although if they're playing like a Chalice, maybe we're going to need the Force of Wills on the play. We do have Brazen Borrower. Wouldn't mind a second Brazen Borrower, to be honest. Pyrokinesis is also a pretty good one here. We have so many options here. I don't think Daze is where I want to be. That's 4 cuts. Gut Shot looks pretty bad in this matchup, I would say. And then we're looking for 1 more cut if we want to put all this stuff in. Is it the of one mind? Kind of need to go wide a little bit here. We could trim on one of those slightly. Or we could trim on something like a Ponder in case we get locked under a Chalice. Sure, that seems fine. So Pyrokinesis I wouldn't normally bring in against 8 cast, but against the Paint cast, it kills Painter at instant speed when we're tapped out. This feels like a very good way of approaching the matchup. What do we have here? We can kind of play a control route here relatively effectively. Our hand does crumble to Chalice very easily. We don't have like any of our 2-drop threat guys, but we've got an answer for Saga, and we've got an answer for Painter. We've got an answer for Emery or Sai. We can counter Kappa Cannoneer on the stack. Mishra's Bauble, sure. The Surgical might end up just being bad, but we'll see. Alright, Lion's Eye Diamond. Our opponent's got a lot of stuff over there. Cracking the Bauble. So this turn we can either Ponder or we can Wasteland their seat. I think we want to save the Wasteland for the Urza Saga. I think that's probably a bigger issue for us. They could just kill us next turn. So I think we hold up this Lightning Bolt. It's not particularly exciting this turn. But if our opponent's got another mana source, they can play Painted Grindstone, use Lion's Eye Diamond to crack it. Okay, so there's the thing we want to Wasteland. So I'm happy we held back our Wasteland there. A Soul Guide Lantern. Sure, they're going to exile their own Bauble here. Maybe it's a little bit cowardly to not crack this and just play a spell. Let's go and get ourselves a Volcanic Island and try out a Ponder here. We're looking for... I don't know what we're looking for here. Meltdowns would be good. Oh, is this going to be a Metallic Rebuke? It is indeed. We will not pay. Not actually that bothered by this one. Don't get me wrong, we're going to need some lands at some point, but we can take out their Saga here. And that's the scariest thing that was on the board is now gone. Obviously, Lion's Eye Diamond plus the ability to drop the combo pieces is pretty scary, but as a Saga is a delayed combo piece. So we effectively remove one of their grindstones there. If we have to play this Mystic Sanctuary tapped, I'm not going to be very happy. So hopefully we can... Okay, they've got a grindstone there. We're probably looking at casting lightning bolts. Oh no, we've got the Brainstorm now. This is a tricky decision. I think we hold up the lightning bolt and we can Brainstorm end of turn, shuffle away this Mystic Sanctuary, that sort of thing. It's not a great turn for us, but it's fine. Ancient Tomb. There's no play from our opponent. So end of turn we can Brainstorm. Alright. The Channeler is amazing versus Soulguide Lantern, but it does force them to crack it rather than drawing a card. I like the Iconoclasts. I would very much like some more land here. I don't want this because it comes in tapped. I'd rather try and get something else. The Surgical is an interesting one. I'm not sure if we should be keeping this or not. It does cost 0 mana for the purposes of Third Path Iconoclast. Maybe we'll just ship one Third Path Iconoclast here. And then we'll crack this. Go and get another one of these. And I really need to have a good turn, so I'm going to try and set up my turn with a Brainstorm at end of turn. We want to be able to play the Third Path Iconoclast and hold up a Lightning Bolt. Yep, we've done those things I wanted to do. So I think we could just play Channeler and 2 bolts. Is that better? I think we probably just want the Iconoclast though. So what are we putting back here? Because we're going to have to crack this if we want to use it. I think it's probably going to have to be the Surgical Extraction. Or is it the Channeler? Maybe it's the Channeler and then the Surgical. We'll keep the Surgical floating around for our turn because I like what that enables us to do. We can like hit the Metallic Rebuke and see what of our stuff is going to resolve if we need to in a push. I think if we get to untap on the next turn, I think we're okay. We can choose if we want the DRC based on whether or not this survives. It's going to be a Metallic Rebuke. Looks like another Rebuke. I'm going to let this go. So we're going to leave this Dragon's Rage channel on top of our library and hopefully draw it. If something goes wrong, we might have to crack this strand. But ideally, we're going to get a Channeler and turn that into a threat that they're going to have to Soul Guide away. And then we can hopefully find some more stuff. A Bauble, sure. This Of One Mind is not looking great right now because we don't have the types we need for it. Okay, so they're Baubling, so they're going to know we've got Dragon's Rage channel on top of our library. Sure. Opponent's going to draw a card. We're going to draw a Channeler. And then we're going to play this holding up double Lightning Bolts and Pyroblast, Surgical Extraction. We've got a bunch of tools. Sure. They're doing this just so our guy comes in as a 1-1. I think maybe you wait until the attack step to do that, but because I might have some more cards in my graveyard that you can hoover up that way. A Painter's Servant. Interesting. They can't pop it without cracking the Lion's Eye Diamond here. Unless they play a mana source. We can fight over this in our turn when we just have more mana available. That seems a more sensible play to me. So we'll cast a Lightning Bolt targeting this. They Force of Will, we can Pyroblast and hold up the Lightning Bolt. Or we can just Lightning Bolt again. Force of Negation. Interesting. So I'll let this Force of Negation resolve, I think. Get our Dragon's Rage Channel ability here. They're grindstoning us now using their Lion's Eye Diamond. They're thinking about it. Okay, Okay, looks like they're going for it. So we will lightning bolt this guy. I would like to keep this on top of my library, please. Actually, we're probably going to shuffle away, actually, thinking about it. This can go... Oh, it gets to get milled anyway, isn't it? Put it into the graveyard. Sure. So now we crack this. We'll play another channeler. In our opponent's draw step, we're going to exile their Painted Servants. That should make it somewhat challenging for them to win the game here. They don't have any cards in hand, so our Surgical Extraction should resolve. Unless they have a Metallic Rebuke, I guess. Mystic Sanctuary. Do I want this on top? I do. It's just more cards, right? It's a Divination, but I don't mind that. Sorry, we've got Unborn Mind, so we can rebuy Divination. Okay, so I've got a Kappa Cannoneer in hand. I'll take this one out of the graveyard as well. Sure, we got 2 Kappa Cannoneers total, and there's a Sagas. Plague Engineer, it's an interesting one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our opponent can't play his Kappa Cannoneer, then we can untap with Pyroblast. So I think we just begin with... actually, the problem here is if we put the of one mind on the stack. Okay, step 1 is attack with our guys. That's the easy part. And then we want to cast this of one mind, but we also want to hold up Pyroblast. So we have to play the Mystic Sanctuary first. We have to decide if we want any of these cards back. There's only one sorcery there, but we're about to change that anyway. So I think we play the Mystic Sanctuary. I think Ponder is superior to other draws, so we will take this Ponder. We could take the Lightning Bolt there and just have the win next turn. Maybe that's a stronger play. But I'm just sort of taking... I don't know. Yeah, I don't... so we'll put this on top of the library. Yeah, we should have just gone and got the Lightning Bolt there, I think. On top of the library. So we're going to draw 2 cards. Okay, so we have an Urza's Bauble. Let's play this. Put this into our graveyard. Oh, Dragon's Age Channel is a very silly card. The amount of extra cards we get to see. It's pretty gross. Put this into our graveyard. We want to draw the card for our opponent's turn, so we are going to do this just in case we draw something that's going to change the information we want to run with, like other Sage Extractions or whatever. A Pyrokinesis, sure. Probably not relevant here, but we have given our opponent one more draw step that we didn't need to. We should have just put the Lightning Bolt instead of this Ponder. Alright, our opponent scooped it up. Alright, that felt pretty good. We have good tools against the Painter version. I think our matchup versus Painter is better than regular 8-cast because the payoffs are different. And we have these tools that we can leverage a bit better. Alright, let's go to round 3. I think we need to find a threat, or at least some sort of proper permission and ponders and things. So I think this is a mulligan for me. This seems better. I will keep this. I think we'll get rid of one of our ponders. I think the upside of one mind is high enough that we want to try and leverage it here to sort of undo our mulligan. Granted, that might be slightly greedy, but I think it's worth doing. Snow-covered island. So this is... could be anywhere between control and show and tell type stuff. Like green-blue omniscience, maybe. Mystic Sanctuary. Not a fan of drawing that, but I think we are going to go and get ourselves a Volcanic Island and cast a Ponder here. Our opponent is showing us stuff that... ooh, we could have a bunch of redraws here, couldn't we? So we could put this on the bottom, then the Misty Rainforest, then the Bauble. Draw this. Next turn we can cast a Third Path Iconoclast and a Bauble, holding up Daze. That feels pretty good. A Wasteland. Okay. Understood, opponent. Okay, so we know the top card of our library is a land. So I'm going to play a Mystic Sanctuary. I don't care if it gets Wastelanded. Like, it's not great for us, but it's fine. Another Wasteland over there. It's a very tempting target when someone does that. Underground Sea, Baleful Strix. Sure. I don't think I want to do this. We're going to have lots of 1/1s, so getting through this is not going to be the most difficult thing. Could be like a Tempo Doomsday, but Wasteland's a very unusual inclusion if it is. So this turn we play this Volcanic Island. We go red and blue. Let's play our little boy. Get our Bauble going. See some more of our opponent's cards, see what they're working with. Murktide Regent. Understood, opponent. That shouldn't be coming into play next turn at least, so got a little reprieve while we can find an answer. There's a reasonable answer to it. A Baleful Strix. We're not dazing this because they've got 1 mana up. Again, we have loads of 1/1s to send into these Strixes. They're not actually going to be that good in terms of the combat. They do cantrip though. A Grief. That's a little bit annoying. I guess we have to just let this one hit. And we're going to lose the Daze or the of one mind. I suppose we could lose the Borrower, but I think it's probably going to be the of one mind. Daze is relatively easy to play around. Us drawing 2 cards represents a lot for 1 mana. Oh, we took the Daze. Interesting. Oh no. What is this? Are we getting brought back to, or whatever it's called? Are you just going to reanimate it? Okay, so we're going to lose of one mind as well. They're not going to get rid of our Borrower, because why would we bounce something like a Grief? Yep. Pretty gross. Probably coming in for 2 here, or 1 here. And then we untap, and not sure where we go from here. We can hit the sea, so they can't make a Murktide. That's not so terrible. And that's worth doing. We've got a Borrower chilling. We don't want to send our 1/1 into their Grief. If they attack with a Grief, we can start attacking with 1/1s. We don't really want to bounce the Grief or any of their other guys. All the boys coming in. We'll take all the damage. 3, 4, 5. Puts us to 13. What have you got, opponent? Thoughtseize. Yuck. I don't really want to bounce any of our opponent's things. But I also don't want our Brazen Borrower to... Yeah, this is a grim one. I guess if we're hellbent anyway, we may as well bounce this guy. Gets us another guy. What have they got here? Spell Pierce or something? A Daze. Okay. We can't pay, so... We do get the 1/1, and the Thoughtseize doesn't do anything. It does change the clock slightly, which is not too shabby. Our opponent is not casting a Murktide Regent next turn either. Oh, they can cast one now, in fact. Yeah. Because they haven't played a land yet, and they floated off of the snow-covered island. Yeah, so we don't have any more Brazen Borrowers in our deck. We don't have any flyers outside of Dragon's Rage Channeler. I think our opponent is just going to bury us here with their superior sort of mid-gamey type stuff. Yeah, I'm happy to pack this one in. Okay. Pyroblast seem good. I don't really like Force of Will here. Seems... I don't really want to be trading 2 for 1 in this matchup. It's going to get scrappy. Gut shots. I can kill the Strixes, but I don't really think I want to be paying 2 life to kill Strixes. I guess it's okay with this sort of stuff. Maybe we're just going to be looking at things like Cabal Therapies, picking apart our opponent's hand that way, and I wouldn't mind another Borrower. What is looking bad in this for this map? Interesting. I like the free spells. What is Lightning Bolt realistically hitting here? Maybe it's the Lightning Bolt that we trim on here. I don't mind having the 1 because it blows stuff up. We could have played Pyrokinesis, but I think we're just going to be 2-4ing ourselves. We have no mana, so let's look at this. What do we got here? We've got some stuff. We can keep this. I guess we were just talking about how the Lightning Bolt's not good here. So we have a choice here. We can... I hate it, but I think I'm going to play out this Mystic Sanctuary tapped. This Mystic Sanctuary has come up in my opening hand an awful lot more than I would normally like it to. Not a Wasteland. Understood, opponent. We're getting Grief. Is this going to get reanimated on turn 1? Like, we just don't beat that, I don't think. We put back the Lightning Bolt, which can kill the Grief. Yeah, we're just going to get scammed. But these sorts of decks are designed to prey on Delver type strategies as a general rule, because they're sort of slightly bigger and disruptive in a way that is often more meaningful in the particular matchup. Sure. An island. Okay, so we're not getting griefed again. That's something at least. It just looks like a sort of straight up blue-black mid-rangey deck, maybe? A mid-rangey scam. Maybe they've got something else going on there, but the Wasteland, I'm sure I haven't seen Wastelands in Doomsday decks. But we have Brainstorm and Pyroblast available. They know we have both of those cards though, which certainly diminishes their value. There's a Wasteland. Right, let's float a red. And cast a Brainstorm now, because we've got red to pay for Daze. Can't pay for a Misty if that's what they've got. So I like this, but it doesn't really go anywhere like much of our hand, unfortunately. I guess we just put them back on top, and we are in trouble. Okay, now Wasteland here, passing turn. We'd like our Brainstorm to see more cards if possible. I think our opponent's just going to beat us here, though. A Watery Grave. So they are shadow. They just had like a non-shadowy draw. That's fair enough. Reanimate on that guy. What's on top of our library? I guess. We can't find Force anyway. Wasteland is Watery Grave. Alright. So then they're griefing us. And we're going to cast a Brainstorm. Let's try and power through the bad on top of our library and give them something bad to take away. Okay, we have a land. I don't hate that. There's Cabal Therapy. We don't really care about for now. Same with this Third Path Iconoclast. So they're probably going to take our Daze here. That's probably what I would take. It's the free spell. It lets us do some stuff, and we just wastelanded them. Sure. Don't think we have the luxury to play around it. We know there's not a land underneath this either, so we just have to take 2 life, play directly into their Daze, do not pass go, do not collect any money, get absolutely blown out. Oh, it's in. Now they know we can't cast any of these, so if they just have a removal spell, they're probably just going to kill it anyway. But if we get another turn, we can cast a Pyroblast on anything, and then we can Cabal Therapy away their hand, making some guys to block the grief with. So we have a strategy, but they know their Murktide is not very good here. But if they can just kill our guys, then... Alright. I've got a bit of life to work with, but the top card of our library doesn't do anything, which is not great. So we'll draw this Cabal Therapy. So the Cabal Therapy was us trying to do what our opponent's doing, where they attack our hand, hit the weak points and stuff, but we were hoping to do it off of things like Young Pyromancer, etc. However, we don't really get to do that because they just scam us quicker, because grief is the turn 1 thing you can do, whereas our little strategy is like a turn... Oh, I think we should Pyroblast this, use up. So our Cabal Therapy plan is a much later thing, so by the time we get it up and running, it's too late. We don't Pyroblast the next bird, because we need to get a Pyroblast for the Murktide. We can't really allow that to just get us. A Ponder, okay. This is a good card. Let's see if this can pull us back into the game a little bit. Dragon's Rage Channeler. So we don't want this Cabal Therapy. We'll have this Misty Rainforest though. And we'll have this Dragon's Rage Channeler. Let's cast the guy. Alright. So we have a 3-3. Our opponent's on a 3-turn clock. So we are winning the race. Now, it's not going to take a lot for this to change. Our opponent could have a Fatal Push, or just dump a big creature into play that we can't deal with. We can cast this Cabal Therapy next turn because we have... because we have a Underground Sea in our deck. A Thoughtseize. Okay, so we're going to lose our Pyroblast here. Oh, we took the Cabal Therapy. Interesting. Alright. We have our way of winning this game now. Our opponent's on 4. We have to Pyroblast the Baleful Strix and then try and dodge the Murktide region that they're almost certainly going to throw in our face. So we will destroy this. We already knew that was there, didn't we? We could have got to see one more card if we'd have cracked this first. Alright. So I imagine our opponent's got a Murktide region to follow up with. So we're looking to draw a Lightning Bolt or Pyroblast. Now our opponent might just not have anything. That's certainly possible. They've got a fetch land, so they find other cantrips they can shuffle away and go again, but a Baleful Strix, sure. Alright. We certainly don't beat this, do we? We need... A gut shot would be an amusing way to win this game, but we took them out because they're bad. Maybe we're supposed to keep them, I don't know. Trading gut shot for half a card doesn't feel great. That's effectively what Baleful Strix is. Come on, deck. Of one mind. I guess we're casting, aren't we? Do you want this Underground Sea? 2 of our Cabal Therapy is already in the bin. I don't think we want this. Let's try and draw some cards. So our guy has to attack, which is a bit awkward. A Bauble. It's a redraw, but we may as well put it into our graveyard here. It's not actually getting us anywhere. Flooded Strand and Brainstorm. Can't Brainstorm into a threat here because we're not going to have any mana, so we should save that Brainstorm for next turn. This guy has to attack, trades with the Strix. Our opponent can't crack their Bloodstained Mire because they'll die. Do we keep this Flooded Strand in hand? I think we do, because it means we have more cards to Brainstorm with. So we can like Brainstorm into Guy plus something. We need to find something this turn though. If we find a Lightning Bolt, we can just win the game. But it's going to be tough. We didn't have many Lightning Bolts in our deck, right? A Grief. Oh, this is so backbreaking for us. We lose the Brainstorm. So we're on the top card of our library, not the top 3 cards of our library. That is a real issue. Also, our opponent's got 2 threats, so we're going to have to find something. And we've got 2 Lightning Bolts in our deck still. We're just dead here. Sure. So our opponent nearly let us have that one. We sort of came back a little bit, but there was just 1 or 2 things that were just too much. I think it's just out of curiosity. Let's see what our Brainstorm would have found us. Or is Modo going to crash? Okay, we're not going to see what the Brainstorm would have found us anyway. But the sort of the scam package is quite effective against what we're doing, because it just sort of punches a hole and then also deploys a threat. So maybe I should have kept more Lightning Bolts in. I think we only boarded 1 out there, didn't we? Yeah, we boarded 1 out, which I think is reasonable to bring in our Pyroblast, but we kind of got caught napping on Pyroblast a little bit. We're getting beaten down by Grief, so maybe I would board differently next time. Alright, let's go to round 4. Sounds alright. We have Dragon's Rage Channeler into our sort of like Gut Shot if it's good. Force of Will too. This seems like the sort of hand that we want. We can keep the fetch land to do some Brainstorm shenanigans. We're in a good spot. Alright, let's play the lad. Here we go. Let's see if our Gut Shot's going to be good or bad. Where are all the elf players? All the people with their noble hierarchs. A swamp. Scalding Tarn, so probably somewhere in the black-blue spectrum. A fatal push. Do I want my guy to survive this? If this guy doesn't survive, what are we doing? I think we're brainstorming, and that's fine. A ponder, that's fine. I think we can brainstorm into something here. I would like a blue card for this Force of Will. Looks like our opponent is not going to give us any Wasteland targets here. This is a threat, so we don't need the Brainstorm. We can save it as a blue card. There's Volcanic Island. Play the guy. Blue, red. Holding up Force of Will and Gut Shot, so we can make some guys. And he's in. Give us some targets for our Gut Shot, please. Gut Shot's a really interesting card. It kind of swings from being like amazing to terrible. I guess it's going to be okay here. It looks like we're playing it as a similar thing to last time. But we'll see, I guess. Hate using this on this guy, but we are getting a card for it, so it's not like it does nothing. We are still getting a 1-1 from this interaction. They're not going to save their Baleful Strix because it's already done its job. Our opponent could be on the Doomsday spectrum, but Fatal Push makes me think that they're more on the aggressive line here. With like, they could be like a weird tempo deck, but I think they're more likely towards the deck we previously played, like the shadowy type stuff. We could hold this Wasteland. I think we just deploy the Wasteland now. I think we could hold it for a Brainstorm, but our Brainstorm's kind of spoken for because of this Force of Will needing a blue card. We have 2 Lightning Bolts as well. So our opponent casts a Doomsday, they'll take 8 and go to 7. Or if we shoot them once with a bolt, they'll go to 12 and then they'll go to 6. We shoot them with 2 bolts, they go to 9 and then they go to 4 and then they're dead on board. So if our opponent casts a Doomsday and passes, they're dead. Is the over-under on this one. So they are Doomsday, I think we're okay. Sure. More cantrips. I don't think we need to bolt here. We can sort of save up so our opponent doesn't quite know how dead they are when the time comes. Bauble is good. Triggers our Iconoclast. Let's see if we can get an impression of what our opponent's working with over there. Cling to Dust. Okay, so like Grixis Control. That does change the dynamic slightly. I don't imagine our opponent is on any sort of Doomsday type stuff here. So we're probably going to be looking at firing off some Lightning Bolts end of turn. So that's 6 damage, puts them to 4. Yeah, so they're dead on our next turn if they don't do anything. We do have a Force of Will, which also gives us more guys. They're getting rid of this gut shot, that's fine. So we're trying to dodge Hidetsugu Consumes All here. That's the thing that we don't really want to see. Channeler is a nice reload if something does go wrong. But if they play the Hidetsugu Consumes All, we lose 2 guys, but then we can end step, fire off 2 Lightning Bolts and get 2 guys back, and then put them to lethal. So I think we're in a good spot here. I think this matchup is probably not going to be great for us because, you know, they're just a control deck trying to kill all of our stuff. And post-board they're going to have way more removal. So it's going to be awkward for us. But the amount of basics they've got makes me think they've got some sort of like back to basics Blood Moon type shenanigans they can put on us as well. Alright, so what is this? A Snapcaster Mage. I will fight over this Snapcaster Mage. Getting some more guys. You're casting a Force of Will. See what Snapcaster's going to do. A Fatal Push. So they kill this. They're just dead here if we bolt them. Yeah, so we got enough guys to swing through the Snapcaster. Alright, so like a control-y type deck. I don't think we're going to be doing well with things like Force of Wills here. I think if we try and trade 2 for 1, they're just going to bury us very quickly. I think the Cabal Therapy plan is nice here. I don't think we're actually in a Brazen Borrower town, but they could have some shenanigans I don't know about. Got Pyroblast. I think the Daze is okay here. The Lightning Bolt. The Gut Shot seems okay in this matchup. They've shown us some things it hits. I think we can just upgrade some Dazes into Pyroblasts and probably call it a day. Let's try this. We have to mulligan this one because we can't cast our spells. We can cast some spells. That's a good start. I don't think this is a matchup where we actually do need Lightning Bolts, even though they were good in that last matchup. They're going to be reach more often than they're going to be removal, I would say. We can't really play around Blood Moon, so here goes Dragon's Rage Channeler. I like Delver decks that don't have basics, because back in the day when I used to play Rug Delver, you'd have 3 Volcanic, 3 Tropical, and that was your mana base. And that was fine. You know, you'd have your Wastelands and Fetch Lands and stuff, but if people were trying to like Wasteland you or Blood Moon you, then sure, they could get you. And that was that. But you didn't have those weird situations like, oh, should I fetch a basic? And then you'd make all these horrible plays because you're fetching a basic when you should just be fetching jewels pretty much all the time. It gives you more room for misplay, weirdly, if you have basics in a Delver deck, in my opinion. Especially when you're a 3-colour Delver deck. Now, we're not really a 3-colour Delver deck, but we are splashing a little bit. A Lightning Bolt, that's fine. I have to imagine our opponent's got lots of removal here. So I think we're actually going to hold up here so we can at least play a Third Path Iconoclast with a spell up. I think we'll hold the Brainstorm. So we can do a Brainstorm fetch at end of turn if we need to find something. But I'd like to actually get some value out of our Third Path Iconoclast because they're probably just packed their deck full of removal rather than counter spells. Do we need to cast this Brainstorm? I don't think we do. Like, what are we looking for here? We're in an okay situation. An of one mind. That's quite a nice one. Play this out. We're going to crack and play this guy. Blue, red. Let's have a small guy. If we crack this, they will kill our guy in response. I should have cracked this first, so I think we just pass. And if they kill our guy, then we crack it and cast a Brainstorm. We should have cracked all of our fetches before playing this guy. But that's fine. Sometimes these things happen. If they have something like a Plague Engineer, we're in trouble. Narset Part of Veils. Okay. I'm going to respond to Narset Part of Veils with a Brainstorm, since my Brainstorm's about to get very bad. Interesting. Do you want this Wasteland? Kind of a whole bunch of these things. I guess we put the Brainstorm and the Ponder on the bottom, since these are the things. Oh, our opponent's suspiciously left up what looks like a Thoughtseize to me. So I'm going to put the Lightning Bolt on top so that we can draw the Lightning Bolt and definitely clear the Narset. Let's see what our opponent reveals off the Narset. It's going to be probably removal. There's a Fatal Push. Okay, so it's not Thoughtseize. Sure, we'll use that guy. But we get to deploy another one. So we'll play our Wasteland first. And play this guy. Blue, red. We'll Lightning Bolt this. Goodbye Narset. Wasteland their red source. And we'll get in for some damage. If we can next turn, we can draw a whole bunch of cards. So you've got Of One Mind and Ponder. And Of One Mind is going to cost 1 mana right now. So we know they've used this. So let's get rid of that. Come on, opponent. Don't do anything too scary, please. Okay, they got another Badlands. And nothing to follow up with. Interesting. This could be a Snapcaster turn. That's what it feels like. Do I think our opponent's running something like Hull Breacher? I don't think we get to play around Hull Breacher, so let's just cast the Brainstorm. A misstep, sure. Then we'll cast an Of One Mind. 1 mana, draw 2. Feels good. Can't misstep this one. Flusterstorm. I guess you can do that. So the Snapcaster can tangle this turn, but it will be just an Ambush Viper. Right, let's cast a Ponder. Yeah, I like these cards. You can't get this Bauble into graveyard though, which is the therapy into graveyard. So I think we're just going to have to take a random card. A Lightning Bolt. Do we? They don't have Snapcaster mana up now, so we can attack into them. So we have a lot of power here. We've got what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 3 damage in our hand. So our opponent needs to sweep the board up. A Plague Engineer on Monk does sweep our entire board. And we have 0 recourse to that. We're just going to be drawing off the top. I don't think they drew a Plague Engineer because it would be on the table now and we would be in the dirt. So, they're going to make us discard a card. And they're going to kill our Third Path Iconoclast. Right. So we've got 3 turn clock here. See if we can string some other stuff together. Ponder's a pretty good way to start stringing things together. Sure, a minor misstep. You have counter spells, but I have all the guys. So this is 5. This puts our opponent to 9. So we just need to fade 2 draw steps from our opponent and hope the thing in their hand right now doesn't kill all our guys. I imagine if they have a Colligan, not Colligan's Mind, Hidetsugu consumes all, then they probably win this one. Meltdown, yeah, that kills all of our guys. Sure. Where's my Young Pyromancer when I need him instead of that guy? Oh, there's a Young Pyromancer. I think we're just playing out threats as we draw them here. Try and get some damage on the board. I think we want to try and hold this and get the value because we're not guaranteed to draw something that does anything with it next turn. Whereas this guy can just start attacking. I think if our opponent draws a Snapcaster Mage, we lose the game. They have Cling to Dust in their graveyard. If they start doing stuff with that, then I think we're going to lose this one. Okay, they've remembered they have Cling to Dust. So they're going to be drawing an additional card this turn. Pretty powerful stuff. Just another land, one card in our opponent's hand. They're representing Hardcast Force of Will. Surprised they didn't keep that land in hand. I get like a surgical or something here. A Colligan's Command. I'm going to cast a Brainstorm here, get a little bit of value. And maybe discard a bad card and leave us with a good card on top. Okay. Interesting. I guess we put this on top and this on top. And then we'll discard this Cabal Therapy. And then that's our turn. We can sacrifice our elemental to Cabal Therapy, but it doesn't really get us anywhere. This Daze on top of our library is pretty terrible. So we're going to have to get around that one. We do have the... Oh, Brainstorm's really good for my opponent. We've got the Bauble to draw us through the bad Daze on top of our library, but yeah, it's not looking great for us over here. Looks like it's my go to a third game. So I've got to try and play quickly to make sure we can scrape a little bit of lead in clock time. What does this do? Nightclub. It enters the battlefield. Consume control, get -1/-1. What does Blitz do? It gains haste and when this creature dies. Okay. Yeah, sure. So this is a cantripping sweeper. Alright, I mean, the top card of our library is bad. That's not great for us either. Some weird stuff in our opponent's deck. It's pretty cool though. So we get this. We will crack it now. If our opponent wants to discard this one card on top of our library, they know that we know what it is. We know it's a Daze, so maybe we can force the Thoughtseize out or something and reduce their life total that way. But it feels like it's going to be a bit tough. If our Third Path Iconoclast was the Pyromancer, we would have won the game by now, which is interesting. Alright. Flooded Strand. Do we keep this for the purposes of Brainstorm? We keep this in hand for Brainstorm purposes. I was wondering if we keep it in play as a shuffler effect, or I don't know, we'll see. Anything we need to play out. So our opponent's in the Cling to Dust value town here. So they're just drawing an extra card, removing a card from my graveyard. They're getting rid of the Therapy because that's a card with flashback. That makes sense. We don't really get to Daze that either because it doesn't do anything. I don't think we're going to be able to cast this Daze for any use other than maybe making a guy. We might be able to turn it into a 1/1 by countering one of our own things and then paying. That's probably where we're looking at for this Daze. Or just countering an opponent's thing but then not actually having it do anything. Not a great place to be, but it's the place we're at. Okay, so now I will play out this fetch land. This means that if we draw a Force of Will, we can at least represent Hardcast Force of Will. And we have a fetch land to go with our thing. Oh, if they choose the Colligan's Command here, we can actually Daze it. Oh, they've gone for the greedy line. Okay. What are you going to do with this Colligan's Command? Like, we're going to be losing a card anyway. We may as well just counter this and save ourselves 2 damage. That's another draw step, right? So, wasn't expecting to have a Daze work this late in the game. 6 for our opponent's turn because we got nothing over here. But that's bought us one more turn. Sure, Snapcaster Mage. What is this going to get? Colligan's Command. Sure. They're going to bash us with this Colligan's Command. We'll discard a card, we'll take the damage. Oh, they returned a creature, didn't they? Night Clubber. That's pretty good. Wasteland. This is not very good. Is it worth playing out here? I think I'd rather have a card in hand to throw back with a Brainstorm than playing out this Wasteland. Our opponent's deck is quite slow at winning the game, so we might be able to time them out in the third game. Not that I really want to play Magic that way, but we are very much getting pumped over here, so we may as well play to our outs. A Pyroblast. Not very exciting, but it does have text. We can kill a Snapcaster Mage and buy ourselves some time, or we can use it to force something through. Our opponent's got a whole grip full of cards here. I think we're just going to buy ourselves some time. Wind down the clock a little bit. Also, if we don't have a lot of time for the last game, it means our opponent's going to have to play suboptimally with their control deck. Alright, wish I had to add that Pyroblast. Instantly punished. Fair enough. Hydroblast. Okay, that's pretty good to know they have that. I will pass. Brainstorm is now a terrible draw. Oh, F6 3 returns. Just get battered by this little guy. What are you going to find to go with your Hydroblast? A Ponder. Sure. There's a Lightning Bolt. You got another one? And another one. Sure. So they close the game out. Begin sideboarding. Again, do we want to change anything here? On the play, Daze has become better. For sure. I don't think this is a Brazen Borrower type matchup. Like, it's nice to have another threat. But are we maybe just trying to overload our opponent with threats here? And maybe trim down some of the gut shots? Oh, the gut shots do seem kind of mediocre here. But they do make guys for free. Cabal Therapy was a little bit of an annoying one, but I do like the logic of having it. Maybe we'll trim on something weird like Ponder and just have more threats and Pyroblasts to keep us going. Is that ridiculous? It looks kind of ridiculous to do. That can't be right. Let's take out one of these and have one of these back in. Do you think the Dazes on the play are going to buy us a lot of use when they're trying to cast 3 mana spells though? Sure. We'll try it like this. This hand does nothing. This hand needs a land. We have 2 draw steps to find the land. I think we keep. Can probably bottom. I'd rather keep 2 threats. So probably going to bottom this of one mind. And then play out this Volcanic Island and this Bauble. I'll just see what our opponent's working with. Snapcaster Mage. Okay, so they got one of their big card advantage payoff guys there. That's some 2 for 1. Alright, we didn't find the land. This could be an issue. We'll see. Very much like draw a land this turn, please, deck. One time. We drew it, sure. Let's go to Volcanic Island. Let's play a little guy. Blue, red. It's just getting countered, or are they just going to kill it as soon as it resolves? Oh, there's going to be a Pyroblast. A red elemental blast. Sure, I think we will Daze that. And get our guy back into play. We need a threat to clean this game up. I think if the game goes longer, our opponent wins because that's what their deck's designed to do. So we need to get threats in play. Sure. So we lose that guy. I would like to draw a Daze. Would be nice here. Or something that doesn't cost anything at least. So I now think we're supposed to hold up so we can at least get some action off the Third Path Iconoclast. Especially when our opponent's just holding open that 1 mana there. So they can just clean it up at end of turn without us getting any value from it. We need to get a guy at least. An Underground Sea. That might come in handy in a bit. Let's play out the Iconoclast. We have a Pyroblast up, so we can force this through if they've got Counterspell. We know they have Snapcaster Mage. So that's why we have the Pyroblast held up here. They didn't fire it off on the Red Blast. Interesting. This could be a Colligan's Command. That would be terrible for us. And we'll be getting close to the scoop phase at that point, I think. Colligan's Command. Sure, I guess we'll discard this card. Not great. We do have a threat still. I would like another land so we can at least play around the Snapcast that we know is there. Right, this is fine. Blue, red. We can hold up Pyroblast. So we can Pyroblast a Snapcaster if they try to Snapcast a Colligan's Command or Snapcast a Red Elemental Blast or whatever. Have to imagine that's what our opponent's looking at doing there. A Gut Shot. That's an interesting one as well. Right, I guess we're going to attacks here. We have the Snapcaster covered in various ways. Fascinating that they're not just doing that. We know they have a Snapcaster because we saw it off of the Bauble. He's doing end of turn. I think we cast Gut Shot on this. Sorry, not Gut Shot. Pyroblast on this. Get ourselves a little guy. These guys can't be killed by Meltdown, which is nice. Alright. No Snapcaster for you. Surprised they didn't do that in combat. Because that way they could play around a Daze. Petty Theft on the token. We can kill this and stop them from ever getting a Borrower. Or we can just make them spend the mana on a Borrower and then kill the Borrower. That feels like a much better play. Snapcaster Mage. Sigh. Sure. So this is going to be pretty horrible for us. We get Colligan's Command. We can't use our Brazen Borrower very effectively here. So I guess we're just going to get a 1-1. Yuck. Yeah, this is bad. Our opponent is just clowning all over us here. Like, their deck should be beating us most of the time in the day, because that's what they are. They're like sort of mid-range, so they're sort of doing similar-y, bluey type stuff, but just slightly bigger than us. And we don't have something like a... so what do we do here? We could just discard the Gut Shot instead of the Borrower. But I don't think that gets us anywhere either. I'd rather have a Borrower in hand. Like, we can't bounce their guys for any value. Is a 3-1 flyer better than a 1-1? Is what I'm asking myself here. And I think the answer is yes. Oh, they just returned a creature. That's interesting. I should have looked at the targets there. That's on me. Apologies. It's late. I need to get this league finished. Let's have a look. Alright, Brainstorm. It's a good place to start. Okay, so we got some stuff here that I like. This Brazen Borrower is not really doing it for me. We've got in the graveyard loads of stuff. I'm going to put that in there. Cast this Dragon's Rage Channeler. It's a 3-3. We've got a threat. We also have a way of killing the Borrower that comes in. So, doing okay. Just about. A Baleful Strix. Not a fan of this one. We have the Gut Shot, so at least our guy will go through it. We have a decision about when we Gut Shot. Another one. Yuck. I don't think it's worth trying to Brainstorm there. Right. Let's Brainstorm here. We can then shuffle some cards off the top if we need to. Get out of here, Brazen Borrower. Of One Mind, Urza's Bauble. So we can clear both of these off the top if we put them on top. I don't hate that. So we can just go Bauble. Put into our graveyard. We can cast this on this guy. I don't really know how I'm supposed to win this game. Our opponent's deck is just so much better at games that go past turn 4 than we are. Let's have a look at that hand. A Ponder. It's pretty good. We have to trade here. Alright, we'll hang out for a few more turns, but our opponent's got loads of time left on their clock. They're miles ahead. They got 4 cards in hand. Like, we could find a good Of One Mind here, because we are drawing another card. It's a land. But I think we just want to wrap this one up in the very near future. It's going to take our opponent a few turns to actually win the game, though. But they do have this Borrower that they could throw down if they wanted to, just to speed up their clock. But they've got enough time to play the slow, cautious, pondering, getting all the things you want. Okay, they've got a land here, so they can do that as well. A Lightning Bolt. It's probably not doing very much for us, is it? Let's draw 2 cards. Divination. I'm not very impressed with how this Of One Mind is played, if I'm being perfectly honest. It feels like if you're doing okay, then it's really good. It's like a good velocity thing, but as soon as you like fall slightly behind, it's like just totally blank, which isn't really where I want it to be. Now I've got something like a Reckless Impulse there. Okay, what is this doing? Choose mode. Target player discards a card. Okay, and they're going to get back a Baleful Strix. We could have put something on top of our library then, actually, with the Mystic Sanctuary. But what would we put on top? A Brainstorm, I guess, or an Of One Mind. They're both options here, but I guess we're looking for a threat and they help us find a threat. Maybe we should have Mystic Sanctuary there, but we wanted to use our Lightning Bolts. We couldn't really do that, so I think it's worth using our Lightning Bolt and not Mystic Sanctuary in there. Alright, deck. A Bauble. I guess in case we draw a Pyroblast, we should do this now. So we can Pyroblast. Okay, so they've got Brainstorm in their hand as well. This means that if we draw a Pyroblast, we can stop something like a Narset or another Snapcaster Mage. Sure, we're playing the Borrower. So what we draw here, I suspect it's going to be rubbish, but... Oh, we did draw the Pyroblast. Okay, the exact thing that I was cracking that for. So we can take the hit here. And... Would you take the hit, or do we just smash the Borrower? No, I don't want to get hit by a Narset, because that makes all of our cantrips just do nothing. So we're looking for a guy that makes guys. A Daze. That does not make guys. Here we're going to probably afford to take one more hit from the Borrower, and then we're going to have to hit it. A Lightning Bolt. That does not help us. It does let us kill this Borrower without having to expend our Pyroblast. We can still deal with the Narset, so that our cantrip's alive. Let's just kill this now, I think. They're just going to let that go. So we're now on an 8-turn clock instead of a 2-turn clock. And if we get really desperate, we can Pyroblast this Strix. But we may as well work with our life total a little bit. Our opponent's just got a big old grip of cards there. Another Pyroblast, sure. If we can draw a guy, we can make a load of stuff happen. Whether or not that's going to be good, I don't know. Because I'm just getting beaten down by this owl right now. Sure, take another one. A Gut Shot. Okay, this is worth using on a Baleful Strix. Can I ping your rubbish guy? So we can Pyroblast a Narset. We haven't seen any like big stuff. They're just sort of Snapcaster-y type stuff. Uh-oh. Line of Up to the face. Not a big fan of that. Okay, and another one. Sure, this game is done. Yeah, we got absolutely bodied by that, really. We were pretty lucky to take one game down, to be honest. So, this matchup feels horrible, but it's slow and grindy as well. So, it's a little bit of a miserable one. But these decks are designed to prey on stuff like we're doing. Especially since we don't have 8 1-drops. We can't play the tempo game that effectively. Because we're relying on these 2-drops that don't actually accrue value until you cast a spell. So, we're kind of just too slow to really combat something like this. Like a Grixis Control Shell. Alright, let's go to the final round and see if we can get a... I don't know, I think we are 1-3 now, aren't we? Or are we 2-2? I can't remember. Alright, let's see how we do. Alright, can we get the 2-3 off this deck? So this hand is alright. We get to play our Dragon's Rage Channeler. We have Force of Will up. We get a Scry. We get to double Wasteland our opponent. I believe our opponent is the current trophy leader in the league. So, Shuko. They are on Cephalid Breakfast, which is certainly one of the better decks right now. Right. They didn't play a non-basic, which is sad for us. Let's make a Channeler. We're getting dazed. We are getting dazed. Yikes. I don't think we can afford to keep this around when we know our opponent is a combo deck. And we need to keep our Force of Will to stop ourselves just losing the game on turn 3. Island, sure. We should have waited for them to play a land, I guess. Right. Okay, we drew another threat. That's something. And Ponder. I imagine our opponent is just sculpting a bit of permission or something as well. I don't think they're just going to roll out their guy immediately. They haven't shown us anything that Wasteland hits yet, so just going to play this Channeler and pass. So we've got 3 permanent types in the graveyard. An instant or a sorcery will get us there. I would very much like to find a blue card here. We did not find a blue card. This does kill their thing. I think we need to Brainstorm here. I hate it, but if we're not putting a big enough threat on our opponent, we're just going to lose the game here. This is a creature. We can put this on top of our library. We're looking for any blue card here. A blue card. Okay, excellent. So then we can put these 2 Wastelands on top. Okay, so now we actually have a reasonable clock. I'll play this. I don't think we want the second Wasteland, so put this into the graveyard. We could have played a Pyromancer there first, but I think holding up the Lightning Bolt just so we've got removal for their Cephalid Illusionist. So we've got Lightning Bolt and Force of Will to try and get this game won. We can crack the Scalding Tarn if they don't give us a Wasteland target here. A Stoneforge Mystic. That's fine. We can Lightning Bolt this. Cauldron complete. Sure. Shuko on that. It's just +1/+0 to make it 2/2. So we'll shuffle away this Wasteland on top of our library. Get a Volcanic Island. Lightning Bolt this around a Daze. We're not beating the Cauldron here, so we need to get rid of this. Do you want this Third Path Iconoclast? I think we don't. I think we'll put this into the graveyard. And let's see what our opponent's working with over there. Dread Return is in their hand. That's good news. That's something they're going to have to get out. We can Wasteland whenever we want here, so we don't need to do it right now. Mystic Sanctuary, not very exciting. A Volcanic Island, that's a little bit more exciting. So you can play this out. We can play out our Pyromancer here. We're going to look at 4 cards to find a blue card. That seems doable to me. And this is going to give us a lot more clock, so we're going to be able to close the game out quicker. We'll put this on top because this is a blue card. A Daze. We'll pay for this. Get a Ponder. We don't want this Flooded Strand. This Lightning Bolt is going to be useful, but not right now. This Brainstorm we need desperately right now as a blue card. Alright, so this is giving us the ability to attack for more damage next turn. So we've upped our clock now. So we're doing 6, and they've got a fetch land. So 2 fetch lands, excellent. So there is the Cephalid Illusionist. We have to cast a Force of Will here. If our opponent has a way of dealing with this, then we're in trouble. We will leave this on top because we can interfere with a Shuko line using a Lightning Bolt, but we can't interfere with a Nomad's line. There's Daze. That's game over. Sure. We're going to let them mill their library just so we can see their build. Okay, they're doing their fetch land now, so they can keep doing their stuff. Let's see, we've got 2 Stone Forges in there. Need to find another Narcomoeba here. There it is. So they can Cabal Therapy themselves to put the Dread Return into the graveyard, and then they can reanimate the Thassa's Oracle using a Dread Return. Is there anything interesting in our opponent's build? Anything unusual? Let's have a look. Nothing untoward there. No, he's got the 1 Teferi, 3 Teferis, 3 Teferis, 3 Stoneforge. Sure. Okay. So this matchup, I would like some Surgical Extractions. I think I would also like these Pyroblasts. Pyrokinesis does also kill their guys in a relatively meaningful way here. We've just got like a bunch of stuff here, haven't we? Gutshot can kill their guys as well. Oh, I don't really know how to sideboard this one. They're a combo deck, so we kind of want Force of Will. I guess Daze is very easy for them to play around, so we probably don't want the Daze. We can trim a Borrower. We're looking at 2 cuts. I'm thinking maybe Ponders. Or it should be the Old Mines, actually. These have just been bad the whole time, right? I've been trying to play with them and not really getting a lot of joy. Do we want Pyrokinesis or Meltdowns? Meltdowns, we did see as a Saga, I believe. Do you want Meltdown for Sagas? Also hit Shuko. I think I'd have 1 so we can at least find it. Cabal Therapy is pretty good against a combo deck too. So maybe we'll have... Maybe I like the Cabal Therapies more than the Urza Saga. Let's have a couple of therapies here. So Cabal Therapy plus Surgical Extraction is a bit of a nice combo there. We'll try like this. I'm not really sure. My heart's not totally in this league at this point, I'm afraid. Okay, so we get some scries, we get to do our stuff, and we get to dig 4 answers in a big way. Being on the play is going to be quite useful. We can dodge things like Daze here. They have to use hard counters like Force. I do want this guy. This helps us close the game quickly, so I think we probably want this. That's what we came to do, right? Was make a load of tokens. So we can brainstorm it away if we want to anyway. But at least we've got the option. Probably going to be a Ponder. There's a Ponder. So we've got artifact and land and instant quite easily in our graveyard here. Need to find a way of putting creature or sorcery in. And we can start the beatdown. A lightning bolt. Strand first. Let's brainstorm. Right, put this into our graveyard. Let's do a little brainstormy. 2 ponders. I don't think we need the underground sea here. Can leave a ponder on top. And crack. We'll crack this. Volcanic Island. Our opponent can't win next turn, so we're just going to cast a ponder here. Looking for counter spells. Sure, I'll take another threat for next turn. This on the bottom, and the brainstorm, and this guy. Right, we're just going for an aggressive plan. I don't think the Pyromancer is even going to be part of this game anymore. So I think we're probably going to brainstorm that away next. We're just going to rely on these Dragon's Rage channels getting it done. Right, opponent's played and cracked Polluted Delta for a Tundra. And a Stone Forge Mystic. Okay, we can kill this one if we need to. What is it going to get? If it gets the Cauldron, it got the Shuko. Okay, so we don't really want to kill this anymore. Now, they might have the Cauldron in hand, which is certainly an annoying one, but I think we go to attacks first. Let's get this lad in the mix. We can brainstorm on our opponent's turn if we need to. So our opponent can play Cephalid Illusionist and Teferi Time Raveler. Not a fan of this one. Right, let's brainstorm here. This can go into the graveyard. This can go into the graveyard. Let's draw some cards. We've got a Pyroblast here. We've got some interesting options for next turn, actually. Well, if we Pyroblast now, we can't use this Cabal Therapy anyway. So I think we're just putting back these 2 things. And we're cracking this one. One of these. Let's give the old Pyroblast. I don't really want this, do I? Put it into graveyard. Put on top of the library. There's 2 ways of interacting with a Cephalid Illusionist that we can have for next turn. A Daze. We cannot pay, but we can kill the Teferi. If they plus it, we have to send both of our guys at it. Sure, they've minused it. Get some card deeper. Coming in for the old Stoneforge beats. Powerful. He attacks. Attacks Teferi. Play one of these out. That gives us a 2-turn clock. So we play 2 of them out, we deal 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we can play, if we play this one out, we drop our interaction. So I think this is going to cost us a turn. But if our opponent uses a fetch land, then it doesn't. But I think if they just go Shuko, okay, so we're getting a plow here, that's fine. We can brainstorm end of turn, a little bit of velocity going into our next turn. A ponder, sure. But because we know our opponent has half of their combo, I think we can't just drop down our answers to it, especially when we actually have a clock. A Shuko. Sure. So this is going to attack us for 2 now with the Stoneforge. Right. Come on, opponent. We're going to brainstorm end of turn here. Our opponent's tapped down. Do we want another channeler? Maybe. Force of Will is very good here. Put channeler on top. And then a bolt. Okay, so I think we attack here. We play out 1 channeler. We hold up 2 lightning bolts and a Force of Will. That should be enough to keep us in this game. Opponent does have 6 cards in hand, which is an awful lot. Another Teferi. We do have another Teferi. Our Force of Will doesn't work with the Teferi in play, so we should probably use our Force of Will on it. We would like to leave this on top of our library. No, we can put it into our graveyard here because we have 2 things here. We've got 2 lightning bolts, so we can maybe just kill our opponent. A Brainstorm. Sure, I don't think we need to use that now. Attack for this. If our opponent cracks that fetch, we get to try and kill them. If we try and kill them now and they have one counter spell for our lightning bolt, they untap and kill us. So I think it's best just to hold this up. A Cephalid Illusionist. So they got 3 cards in hand. Do we go for the Illusionist or do we go for the kill here? I think the safest thing here is getting rid of the Illusionist, isn't it? Okay, so we can kill a second one if we need to. Another one? Interesting. So we can do the same play here, or we can try and kill them. I think we're supposed to just try and kill this like this. Okay, it's conceded, so we got it there. We also had the gut shot on top that we could brainstorm into if we needed. So, do I want to change anything? Do I want Pyrokinesis just to like blow up all their little guys? I don't think we want Meltdowns anymore. I think I'd rather have Pyrokinesis. Guess just have another Pyrokinesis. I don't know. It all makes sense to me. We just got loads of removal for their little stuff. We will mulligan this. We have 2 answers for Cephalid. Easy put back with the Mystic Sanctuary. We don't have a threat, but we have a Ponder to find one. Okay, our opponent's not doing the 1-2 kill us. If they get a white source and play a Nomads on turn 1, they can just play Illusionist and kill us on turn 2. Thankfully, that's not what happened. They did not shuffle their library. That's a little worrying. Wouldn't mind a threat here, but okay, we drew a threat. But we are going to ponder here, looking for some interaction. Another gut shot is fine here, so we can put this Flooded Strand on top. Then this Pyromancer, and this gut shot. And we'll not shuffle our library. So we have 2 gut shots to kill an Illusionist. And then next turn we can play our Third Path Iconoclast. And then play 2 gut shots if we need to. Okay, so there's the Saga. This represents a Shuko in a few turns. This is not exciting or impressive in terms of Narcomoebas, that's fine. Right, let's crack this. And get ourselves another Volcanic. Play this guy. Red. Blue. Ooh. I can get us with a Daze here, which is annoying. But we do have another guy to try with next turn. Okay, we're in. So we've got 2 removal spells. We race this Narcomoeba pretty effectively. We don't race the Saga, but we can kill the Saga tokens if we need to. Oh, Narcomoeba getting in. Okay, so we've drawn a Wasteland. This is a pretty good draw for us. In comes a Wasteland. Let's take out there as a Saga. I'm going to make a guy. And play this Young Pyromancer. I don't think we want to ping off our... Okay, just going for a Daze here. Interesting. Okay. Let's ping off their 1-1. We can't pay. But we do get to attack for 2. So our opponent can't win this turn because they need to pay 3 mana of spells to win. So we can untap with Lightning Bolt and Gut Shot available. Obviously we have Gut Shot available now. I don't really want to use it on a Narcomoeba, but if it stays back to block, it's kind of tempting, but I think we just throw soldiers at it until it goes away. They're cracking the Flooded Strand, presumably for some sort of cantrip, or they could have a Nomad here. Another blue source, sure. Just looking at cantrips. So drawing things like Pyroblast here would be great. They did not shuffle their Ponder. Force of Will, not really where we want to be here. We're just going to attack with the 1 soldier. If they trade off here, that's fine for us. And kind of keep our 2-1 at bay though. But if they give us some targets for our removal, then that would be great. A Stoneforge Mystic. This is one we can kill with a Lightning Bolt. A Shuko. Sure. I assume... Okay, they didn't equip the Shuko and attack. That means they're probably on blocks with it. Okay, put on the Stoneforge, sure. Let's Lightning Bolt this because we can't beat a Cauldron right now, so... Third Path Iconoclast. So this gives us a bit of interaction. We can go to attacks here. These two guys. If we draw another blue card, then we can deploy the third path, but I think we're just holding up Gutshot and Force of Will here. Playing around Daze. That seems okay to me. A Teferi. I do not like Teferi. Let's try and say no to Teferi. This also does give us another token. This gives us more damage. Shoot on the Narcomoeba. I don't think it's attacking. Still holding our guy back. Don't think we just want to fire off his Gutshot and then just lose to a Cephalillusionist. This is a great draw. Let's see what we can find. Turn it into another card, please. Water Pyroblast is pretty good here. We don't want this Steam Vents. Don't think we want this Pyrokinesis either. Let's go to attacks. 1, 2, 3. So they're going to have to start blocking with his Narcomoeba soon. We don't want this Pyrokinesis on top of our library, so we're probably going to be shuffling our library in a second. Certainly before we draw a card. A Tundra. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand. Right, let's try and counter this spell. They conceded from the game. Alright, so we got the 2-3 there. We managed to beat Breakfast at the end with just having loads of removal pretty much with, you know, a handful of counter magics. That was alright. Let's talk about the deck. So, I have some issues with this deck. So, I don't think Of One Mind is very good, to be honest. We have to have one of our 2-drops that we then cast a spell with, and it sticks around in order to get this Of One Mind off. It feels like the hoops we have to jump through are pretty real. And if we are in a situation where we're kind of behind and we kind of need like a way of pulling back into the game, Of One Mind doesn't do that because it's 3 mana to draw 2, which is just no good. So I do think I played one the other day with Predict, a Delver deck with Predict, and I felt like the Predict was just bad as well. So I don't think these are the replacements you're looking for. The going wide plan was pretty reasonable. When it gets going, it's pretty nice. The issue I have with it is we don't have any big top end things. I feel like I wanted a Murktide quite often, and we just didn't have one in our list. So we were kind of on the little guys, which made it very easy for people to deal with what we were doing. We didn't play against any sort of like Fury, Pyrokinesis style decks, thankfully. But we did play against like Nightclubber and stuff like that. That's just going to kill off our little guys in a very similar way. This does expose us a little bit to Plague Engineer, which is another problem that I'm not a big fan of. Like, we lose all the guys because this is a monk as well as its token. No, this is a monk and it makes soldiers actually. So we'll lose probably all of our guys and just as a 2-1, which isn't great. So we don't lose everything here. For some reason I thought it was made monks. Weird. Anyway, but we're still pretty exposed to stuff like that here. And I don't think Of One Mind is going to bring you back into a game. I think it's going to help you keep your momentum, but it's not going to be able to bring you back into a game like Expressive Iteration used to do for Delver decks. I do think Reckless Impulse is the best looking replacement for that sort of effect. Now, this deck isn't strictly speaking a Delver. Well, we don't have Delver for a start, but our game plan is different. So our curve is shifted away from 1-drops like Delver and into the 2-drops of Young Pyromancer and Third Path Iconoclast, which feel quite slow to me. Like, we didn't have that many turns where they were great. We had them where we had to play stuff out, or we could hold them in hand, but we'd have to try and get the land for it. And then if we were getting Wasteland, which happened quite a fair bit, it's just so hard to get these up and running. So I think because we're so susceptible to Wasteland, trying to get a 2-drop that requires you to also play another spell to get any sort of value and then continue to play spells is a bit of a pipe dream. Whereas with a Delver deck, you can play your 1-drop. If they Wasteland you, you've got a 1-drop that's cracking for 3 because you've got 8 of these 1-drops that crack for 3. So you're kind of just beating away, and I feel that's a more powerful approach. And for 2 mana, we can get a Third Path Iconoclast, or we could get a Murktide Regent, which is just a much bigger threat. So I don't think these Young Pyromancers are where I would want to be. I consider swapping the Pyromancers for Murktides and maybe the Of One Minds for Reckless Impulse, and then I think I like this deck a little bit more. Obviously, Third Path Iconoclast is going to help you go wide, and the Murktide is going to help you go tall, so you're going to have multiple angles of attack, which I think is a good way to try and pressure your opponent's life total. And also, you can hold the ground quite well with a Third Path Iconoclast. I don't think you need 7 Young Pyromancer style effects. The other option that I thought about was if you wanted to play this deck is a more Grixis fashion. So you actually have your main deck Cabal Therapies and you lean into the Cabal Therapy Young Pyromancer strategy. Now, Young Pyromancer doesn't combo very well with Bauble. So maybe you should be looking at a Third Path Iconoclast Cabal Therapy as a Bauble type thing. And I think if you were trying to play some sort of Grixis list, you could maybe go into other things like Mercurial Spell Dancer, perhaps. That's obviously very good with Third Path Iconoclast, but it also benefits from playing lots of spells, so it's kind of doing the same thing. Obviously, Murktide Regent benefits from you playing lots of spells as well, and it's just like one of the premier threats in the format right now. I would be more inclined to try and go for the straight up blue-red list and get rid of the Underground Sea that we've got here and replace it with a Wasteland. So we just have 4 Wastelands maybe. Something like that might be quite useful. I think just having more Wastelands is where I would want to be at the moment. You know, there's so many Urza Sagas and stuff flowing around, and this deck isn't great versus Urza Saga. We do have a couple of Meltdowns on the board, but I wouldn't mind having some more Wasteland access. Yeah, so I think my overall conclusion here is we're doing quite a lot of cute stuff. We've got gut shots, we've got Of One Mind, and I think when it comes together, it's going to be great, but I think the amount of times that you're going to lose games because the cards individually aren't very powerful is going to outweigh that, in my perspective. So this one is not for me, and I think it could definitely be improved upon, but it's an interesting direction to sort of take the Delver package, but I think it's trying to do too much cute stuff with like the Of One Mind and the gut shots, and I think Young Pyromancer is not where I want to be if I've got balls in my deck as well, when like one of your key free spells doesn't actually make you a guy off of it. So I think I just can these for just better cards. Same with Of One Mind. And the gut shot is kind of okay, right? I think I'd still rather have a 4th lightning bolt and 2 gut shots. I think that'd be slightly better. But our mana base doesn't really help us trying to cast these spells either. We need like free spells that are more universally good, which is not necessarily an easy thing to do because we're already playing like the Forces and the Dazes. So we don't really have better free spells to add in here. And I don't think Gut Shot is amazing in the format right now. Like, it definitely has targets, but I don't think it's where I would want to be. Like, at least Lightning Bolt has a real pressure factor on your opponent's life total, and it's pretty good at picking off Planeswalkers. Like, Narset usually goes down to 3 straight away, for example, and that's a key thing you need to get off the board. So, yeah. Not a fan of this deck, to be honest. I can see what it's trying to do, and I think there's definitely... Like, this is me playing it for the first time. I think if you were to play it a bit more, you would definitely get a bit more joy than I've got from it. But I think it's still got a lot of optimizing to go to sort of go this route. And I don't think this is the future of sort of the blue-red Delver shell. I know it's not quite Delver because we've bumped up the curve and done a load of stuff, but I don't think this is the direction I want to be going in. Maybe at some point soon I'll just play a straight-up classic blue-red Delver with Reckless Impulse and see how that feels. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel financially, you can do that either via the YouTube membership, or you can click the super thanks button on YouTube as well, just to throw me a few quid here and there. My memberships start out pretty cheap as well, so why not thank me for making some content that you watch? Obviously, you don't have to, but it'd be nice if you've got money and you'd like to support me. All right, I've rambled enough for one day. I hope you enjoyed this one and looking at sort of an option that you can take something in the meta that is trying to sort of fill a hole that's been taken from the old expressive iteration. All right. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.